Near mint condition, the home of collected editions. Oh my gosh, look at that panel of Batman. You have the absolute, you have the deluxe. DC Comics firing on all cylinders.
Welcome to Near Mint Condition. Today we are going to be doing a first look at the DC Finest Team-Ups Chase to the End of Time trade paperback. Let's get into it. Hello everybody, I am Dom of X, the manager of said Near Mint Condition, and today we're going to be talking about this very fun trade paperback produced and printed by DC. Here is the front of the book, which does feature the cover to DC Comics Presents #1, and listed here is Bob Haney, Martin Pasco, Jim Aparo. I wish that other names were also included on the front. I won't get into it, but that is what we do have there. If we take a look at the side, this is in the same standard format as all of the other DC Finest trade paperbacks. We got the 1978 to 79 years listed here with, of course, Batman and Superman on the spine. And I'm going to think that Batman and Superman are going to be the highlights of all the team-ups, the spines, because they are, of course, the main characters to these dynamic duos. And here is a look at the back, teaming up for justice with Brave and the Bold and DC Comics Presents issues. Covers listed here on the back. I still find it weird that they have the synopses of these trade paperbacks in different fonts. But again, that is just a little bit of a nitpick. Let's dive in, shall we? Alright, let's go ahead and take a look at the DC Finest Team-Ups Chase to the End of Time. Bob Haney, Martin Pasco. There's a whole lot of people in this specific comic, and of course the Brave and the Bold issue number 155 that I hope to get to talk about a little bit later, here displayed on the cover. Jose Luis Garcia Lopez, Dan Adkins on the inks, and Tatiana Wood are the collection cover artists, again from DC Presents #1, with appropriated crediting to the creators of Superman and Supergirl as well. Here's a look at the collected edition copyrighted material information as per the usual. Paul Levitz, who would eventually find his way to the top at DC Comics, being one of the main editors, along with Julius Schwartz, Ross Andrew, names that you should probably all be familiar with. You're talking about some of these comics. And here is the table of contents. I do find it interesting that the color restoration is credited here. I don't know if you guys can see it in full, but Hi-Fi, Brian Miller, who is part of that specific colorist company, if you will, did the color restoration on multiple of these. Love Hi-Fi colors anytime that I see them throughout. So again, here's the table of contents. So if you are interested in the mapping, it is in the publishing order, presentation and material. And of course, the warning saying these comics were produced in a time where society was definitely a lot different than it is now, just displaying that all throughout. Collected in this is DC Comics Presents 1978 issues 1 through 14, and the Brave and the Bold from the 1955 run issues 141 to 155 at the standard $39.99 DC Finest trade paperback rate at 560 pages of content. In this book, you're also going to find, like I aforementioned earlier, I wish there were some people on the front, but I understand why they only credited those three, as they are the most prominent creators in this specific comic book. Those who are not displayed on the front, however, on art duties, you not only have Jim Aparo, who I mentioned, but the legendary Jose Luis Garcia Lopez, with Dan Adkins on the inks for multiple of those issues, Kurt Swan, Dick Dillon, Rick Burchett, and Joe Staton. On the writing side, you will also see familiar faces if you have read any of these specific comics before. Talking about people like Bob Haney, David Michelinie. I can never say his name, but the guy that brought us Amazing Spider-Man, Steve Englehart, Paul Levitz, and Mike W. Barr co-writing issue 155 of Brave and the Bold, as you saw the cover earlier. Carrie Bates and Carrie Burchett. Now, this has been previously reprinted before in Showcase Presents Superman Team-Ups Volume 1 trade paperback, along with Superman and the Flash. So this specific DC Comics presents issues 1 through 2, which is a two-parter. It was previously printed before in that Superman versus the Flash trade paperback, along with Superman issue 199, where they first do the famous, hey, who's faster? Is it the man who can break time, or is it the man who has every single power that you can think of imaginable? The Brave and the Bold issues have also been previously collected in the Batman Brave and the Bold Omnibus Volume 2. Volume 1 started off with issue 74. Again, I'll talk about that a little bit later. The Joker Bronze Age Omnibus hardcover and Legends of the Dark Knight Jim Aparo hardcovers. There were a couple of them. These ones in this trade paperback have been collected before in Volume 2. Now, as the title would suggest, this line of finest spotlights the guest star of guest stars. DC, very much famous for its dynamic duos. Batman and Robin, Batman and Superman, Superman and Wonder Woman. It's a theme that has lasted since the creation of the concept of the Boy Wonder back in 1940, and they have continued that theme as long as I can remember. They still do it nowadays. We have a Batman, the Brave and the Bold ongoing over at DC. And even if it ends, they've managed to repackage it in different ways, more ways than one, anthology series, you name it. Now, keep in mind that Brave and the Bold in this particular collection are all Batman team-ups. Like I said earlier on issue number 74, the title became synonymous with Batman. They decided maybe instead of doing a random Brave and the Bold issue with a superhero or what have you, let's just make it all about Batman and just have him team up with the most interesting DC characters that you could think of. This is really where the setting for Batman teaming up with another character was born, in that specific mind and concept. Also, DC pretty much saying, if, we are Detective Comics, the Detective Comics character that is very popular, let's make him an ongoing, let's make him a superstar. If you grew up watching Batman Brave and the Bold on Cartoon Network, I know I did when I was a kid. I was 7 when it first came out, and I watched that to death, along with a lot of other cartoons. Now think of the coolest team-ups that you can envision as far as these superheroes are concerned, right? Batman and Green Arrow, two very wealthy socialites who think of different ways to apprehend criminals in their city. Batman and the Phantom Stranger, whose power imbalances might lead you to be saying, how on earth can they team up if one person is clearly stronger and more skilled and powerful than the other? Batman and the Plastic Man, you have somebody who stretches away, and Batman obviously cannot do that. Or perhaps a mystery character like you will see in Batman, the Brave and the Bold, issue number 150. Probably due to it being an anniversary issue. And of course, the companies love teasing us on those anniversary issues if you do follow the singles. Who knows? There's a lot of plenty fun Batman matchups to be had that is specifically in this comic book. The best part about these dynamic duo single issues is piecing together the puzzle by placing yourselves in, the shoes of these characters. Like, imagine if you were Batman. The next thing you know, you're fighting a random villain with Tin, or maybe you're fighting him with the Unknown Stranger or Black Canary. It is you placing... I find a lot of these issues to be fun in the fact that, hey, like, if I place myself in Batman's shoes, how would I react to this? How do I find out what the mystery is behind maybe the killer, or maybe somebody who's out to settle alarms in Gotham City or whatever city that he plays? There's a lot of surprises to be had with this, and that's part of the fun. Most of the issues in The Brave and the Bold are written by Bob Haney, the co-creator of Metamorpho, the Teen Titans, and is very much disputed on Doom Patrol. There's stuff that you can read where you find out like he and Arnold Drake were fighting over who created what, specifically which some of these characters. Ended up doing a thing with Negative Man. It's a whole thing. I don't want to get into that spiel, which is, again, completely different story in and of itself. But Haney makes his mark in these issues by involving Batman in situations where different parts of his skills are highlighted. Like in the first issue, issue 141, it focuses on a detective story that Black Canary joins. So you would, again, imagine his team up with Black Canary is going to be a lot different than his team up with Plastic Man or his team up with the Atom. It creates more of not a strain, but it forces the writer to think of situations where you need to apply Batman to sort of the same level as some of these characters. And honestly, if you want some current comics that feel a lot like this, I would definitely recommend reading Batman Superman World's Finest by Mark Waid and Dan Mora and Travis Moore and all the other artists there. There's a lot of that pulled from these issues that are in this comic book in terms of the vibe and in terms of the dynamics between these characters. And like I said earlier, a lot of these dynamic duo single issues, you place yourself in the shoes of these characters, whether it's the main character in Superman, for example, in DC Comics Presents, or Batman in Brave and the Bold. You find yourself having a lot of fun because you are figuring out the pieces just as our protagonists are doing them themselves. One thing that I also want to highlight is the vibe of the issues, right? You're exploring the different worlds of each of the superheroes that are featured in the story. Those worlds might be actual different worlds. Sometimes they are the cities that the heroes live in. Oftentimes you will go to another planet and you have to piece the puzzle yourself, like with Red Tornado and Superman and Adam Strange, which I'll get to a bit. Often I think I find myself frustrated, especially in like brand new series that I'm reading in single issues, where sometimes you will have a writer explain with a lot of dialogue or with the random text boxes and the flashbacks, hey, this is who this character is, this is what they do, this is why they're in this situation. But instead of that, I actually did find a lot of these one-shots to flow really well in terms of the dynamics of the issue and allowing the reader time to figure out what's going on. It actually lends itself to, because again, these are one issue stories, it's an opportunity for the reader to engage in brand new worlds that they might not know about. To highlight what I'm sort of talking about here, one of my favorite stories in this collection of DC Finest is a team-up of Superman and Adam Strange in issue number 3 of DC Comics Presents by the aforementioned Michelini and Jose Luis Garcia Lopez. For those who might have never been exposed to Adam Strange as a character, maybe you just don't know who he is, you haven't read many stories with him in it, maybe you haven't read Mark Waid JLA, or even most recently with Tom King's Strange Adventures, for those who are looking for the most recent jumping on point, if you want to call it that, for the character. I know it's Black Label, I know it's a story, but back to my main point, if you've never read an Adam Strange story, that issue does a really wonderful job of explaining who he is as a character by placing his home planet of Rand to Superman's while they're switched. Like, he is now on planet Earth. Adam Strange is now on planet Earth. Clark Kent is in Rand, which is Adam Strange's home planet. You're introduced to a foe of Adam Strange's while you're, as again the reader, you're trying to figure out what's going on between both characters and the possibility that, could we fix this situation before time runs out, or is it going to be stuck like that for the rest of the issue, for the rest of however long that they decide to make that a selling point? Adam Strange's home planet of Ren also is in a quandary because it doesn't go around our sun. Our Earth does, but it doesn't. It goes around Alpha Centauri, which is the next closest star system to us. So you can imagine the ramifications on not only our heroes, but imagine putting our Earth in a completely different environment. We are in a spot where we are 93 million miles away from the Earth. It's going to be obviously a lot different if we are circling a different star because of the science that goes behind it, and you get to see it wonderfully in that issue. And not only that, you speed up and you figure out, okay, this is who Adam Strange is, this is what Rand is, and this is who we are going to be placing in that specific story. You're also going to be introduced to a lot of villains here that are one-offs, whether they're aliens like the Zelkot or the Vorkir races, or longtime antagonists like you've seen, like the Joker, Dr. Light. So you are going to get the best of both worlds in terms of introductions to your characters. And also, if you are a brand new reader to DC, this is one of the easiest comics I think that you can pick up. One of the things that I also love about these specific issues is not only like the little text bubbles again from that we've seen in panels from the Bronze and Silver Age and other DC Finest stories, but also these recap pages. These, hey, this is who this person is. This is who that person is. This is who Wonder Woman is. This is what she's about. And we're going to see them now be in an issue and in a team up. And I find those really, really charming. It's like watching a Saturday morning cartoon, or I guess in my case, because I grew up in the Renaissance era of Cartoon Network. I was watching regular show. It's like, hey, like it's watching one episode like that. These are one-offs that maybe not could be part of a larger story. You have to see what is going on. I mentioned earlier that I wish Jose Luis Garcia Lopez that was on the front, because plenty of these stories are also drawn by him. As the creator of the old DC house style, his art is very prevalent, front and center, with the highlight of this story. This collection is appropriately called Chase to the End of Time, which follows the first 2 issues of DC Comics Presents. Of course, we have seen Superman try to beat Flash in issue 199 of Superman. So we figure out, hey, like these two can run really fast, fly really fast. They can go really fast at what they do. However, have you been in a time continuum conundrum with the two? They managed to kick off the DC Comics Presents ongoing with the most insane thing that you can think of that I have never seen before, because maybe, I just haven't read that specific era or every single issue of that era of DC. These do not take 5 minutes to read. They are still a lot of words and whatnot. Now, saying that, they are saving people when a raid from a ship stops the two. They end up crossing paths with those aliens. You got to figure out, hey, this is what happens when you reach the end of time. There's a lot of things that go on in those 2 issues, but man, those 2 issues ended up being one of my favorites. And I'm really glad that I finally got a chance to sit down and read the 2. So you get to see the Barry Allen Central City and Clark Kent Metropolis dynamic of it all. Very, very fun throughout. And who will beat whom, you will have to see. There are also some guest stars that I did not expect and managed to see in this book. Romeo Tanghal, who is a Filipino inker, and you might know him from his time inking George Perez on Tales of the Teen Titans and also New Teen Titans. He also does an issue, which is issue 146, where you get to see him doing pencils. You have a story about the unknown soldier teaming up with Batman to stop the Nazis from stealing plans to create the atomic bomb. How they do it, you will have to find out for yourself. You also have a team up with, as you probably saw me going through this earlier, of Superman and Sergeant Rock teaming up in issue 10 of DC Comics Presents. Why is Sergeant Rock there? Why is Superman back in the 1940s? You have to see what goes on in that issue. I do not want to spoil the fun surprise of a lot of what has. I'll just say this. There are some issues where I expected them to end up in a certain spot, and to my surprise, sometimes they throw me a bone, sometimes they don't, and I love it that way. The unpredictability of these issues are high. If you expect a certain hero to act a certain way, they don't, and sometimes they do. So it keeps you on your toes, and I really wish that. I just love these dynamic duo books. That's all I gotta say. And then on issue 155 here, this is co-written by Mike W. Barr. So if you are a big fan of his Detective Comics, or if you're looking for some of that same vibe from those specific Detective Comics issues, you will find that here. It's a story about Hal Jordan and Bruce Wayne very much arguing for, hey, we have this prisoner. The question is, which legal proceeding is he going to go through? Is he going to go through the Gotham or the Owen legal system? You got the Guardians and Batman having an argument in a fight, and just a lot of fun to be had in these issues. And from every single character of the universe, there is something here for you. And you might find yourself wanting to figure out who some of these characters are, or if you want to read more from maybe a specific line. If you see like, hey, like I like that Adam Strange guy, or I like the Atom, that's going to open up a lot of avenues. So I think this is a great taste test for new readers to see if you like any of these certain characters. Then obviously, if you are a big Batman or Superman fan, this is definitely going to be a must buy. But if you are somebody who might be new to DC, and you're struggling to figure out, I don't know which heroes that I like, or I don't know where to begin, this is perfect as a sampler to get to see who these characters are, what their environments are like, what their villains might be like, and how they go about doing their daily superheroing. And you will get a chance to really figure out, I think, in my opinion, who your favorite characters are, or what your tastes might be as far as the superheroes are concerned, because there are some teams, there are some solos. There is something to be had in every single issue for every single one of you folks out there, which is why I think this might be one of my favorites so far. I feel like I've said that about every DC Finest, though. They don't have any extras, just the same for the timelines. But that, as they say, is that. Now, if you're looking to buy this, please check out our sponsors.
If you're in Europe and you're interested in buying these books, definitely check out Walt's Comic Shop in Berlin, Germany. They have the cheapest pre-order prices, flat shipping rate of €12 for all EU countries, emails answered within 24 hours, waltscomicshop.com, and you can use the code near mint condition at checkout and get free shipping for all EU countries with your first order over €40. That's Walt's Comic Shop, your reliable source for omnis and premium collected editions in Europe. Ding!
CheapGraphicNovels.com, your online home for graphic novels and collected editions up to 50% off cover price. They have excellent shipping and prompt and helpful service. Check out their bargain deals for up to 90% off cover price. And don't forget that CGN also takes pre-orders. That way you don't miss out on the hottest releases. And they are currently running a special promotion for you Minties. If you're a first-time customer, after receiving your order confirmation email, reply back to that email and let them know Near Mint Condition sent you their way. They will then apply a free shipping promotional credit to your next order in the US. Cheap Graphic Novels, your source for the hottest books with the kind of deep discount, quality shipping, and customer service that will keep you coming back for more.
And that is going to be it for me. I am Dom of X. Let me know down in the comments section if you're going to be picking this up as well. You be you. Please stay safe, Minties, and have a wonderful, tastic day.